Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Chess Show on Pod TV. My name is Sasha Star, and today we have two professors with us. It's Ken Regan. Welcome to the show, Ken.
Thank you very much for having me on again.
Okay, and Dan Fleetwood. Welcome to the show, Dan.
Hi, Sasha. Hi, Ken.
Great to see you. And I think we were all mesmerized by incredible victory of Carlsen in this very significant tournament. This is a miracle. You can compare it only to Alokin by the early Searches victories in Bled and other San Sebastian, some other tournaments. Michael Tal had his great share of wonders of the chess world. And, Gary Kasparov, of course, in his time. This, what can you say about it? Dan, we'll start with you.
Oh, the games were just extraordinary. I mean, for rapid games, the quality of the play was very high, as you would expect from the participants, and some of the endings were I mean, I would like to have days to work on those, not just seconds.
I agree with what you say. Do you have a favorite game? I guess, do you mean especially from the final day?
Geez, no, it would be hard to choose. There are so many good ones. I'm sure that you have a few singled out, though.
I do indeed have two that has special interest to them. And I'll just say that by my metrics, Carlsen went into full beast mode on the final day. So he played world championship level at slow chess, not just.
That's crazy. That is just crazy. Well, I mean, he's been arguing that you don't need slow time controls to play well, and I guess he figures that he'll just show that.
Mm-hmm. So I may show these two games side by side, both wins for Black. Carlsen over Caruana and Hikaru Nakamura defeating the sitting world champion. And both of these games have interesting junctures to them, really having to do with strategy. And I will show you that Caruana had a definite wrong idea, sort of like the position went to his head. But Gukesh's mistake is really a little mystifying. But it may be the fact that Tarrasch was right, even in a complicated position, about keeping the rooks behind passed pawns. So Carlsen is Black and does not play the Berlin. So we're going to challenge you with the Morphy Ruy Lopez. And White decides to play the exchange deferred. Now, the other mystery of this position is, how does Carlsen conjure up as Black a significant advantage after only 16 moves from this opening, this positional opening, where, however, though he plays this way to guard his pawn rather than Queen D6 as I used to play, or Bishop D6. And,
well, that's clearly an update from Berlin theory. So,
I think you're right. I had the same impression. Yeah, that this is. So Black can afford to cede the center, but is very compact. White doesn't have anything to attack just yet. So now Black just very calmly relocates his knight to an optimal square E6, although how is Black's light square bishop going to develop then? But here we go. Comes to E6. Now the game is already even according to the engine, as you can see in the right-hand corner. But Black is going to expand to a definite advantage in just 4 more moves. And White's mistake is the only clear mistake that White makes is on a certainly very natural move. So, knight D2 is good. And now here comes the clear mistake. So what White should do, as you see the engine is indicating, is play knight B.
Right.
Knight B3 right away. And although you would worry, what if Black plays Bishop A6? because your knight is now not supporting things that you would want to put in the way of that. But it turns out that rather than play c4, which is weakening, white can just play queen d1, calmly play there. I know after queen e7, you would worry about rooks coming over, but white would get to capture black's bishop. Either that or black retreats the bishop and white gets to trade off his inactive bishop on g3, 4. So the move that Caruana played, rook a d1, what could be more natural? Developing your last piece, threatening something. But now black has a definite initiative because white is not going to get time for knight b3 so comfortably. He's going to play it, but it's not going to work tactically. So white plays c4 and now knight b3. And the problem is that this leaves white's pawn chain in the center weak. But so the other little twist in this position is that it actually would have been better for Carlsen to play queen f6 in this position. This is the way to keep a tangible advantage, because then on e5 you can go queen h6. The queen is well placed there. And black has pressure coming at white's position from two sides. After queen e7, what Caruana should have done instead of knight b3 was to play e5. Now black's queen is restricted, and white has the e4 square for his pieces. The pawn is protected 4 times on e5. Nimzovich,
it's hard to play that with the bishop there on g3, though.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yes, this is true.
It looks like you're just burying that bishop. So
yeah, although it can go to h4. I mean, black.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Going to be embarrassed.
These are things, though, that how much time do we have left now? Like 8 minutes? Yeah, I would want several minutes to sort that out.
Right, of course. This is the fast as here was 10 minutes total initial with a 5-second increment. So anyway, knight b3, and now
that's beautiful bishop.
Beautiful bishop, and the bishop on a6 is skewering f1. So now Carlsen strikes. And from here on, white is in trouble. White doesn't have a guard on c4 anymore. So Fabiano struck back. This is probably what he was relying on, was having a knight menacing c6. But Carlsen can just ignore it. So if knight takes c6, then, black will move the queen. Black will have 2 adjacent strong queenside pawns backed by the rooks and bishop. But anyway, so knight f5 actually might have been the best move. But anyway, rook here. Now, this is just a tactical mistake, and Carlsen pounces. Or we take the bishop. And now if white recaptures, then black just calmly recaptures on b4, or I'm sorry, takes on b2 first. Yeah. And black will have an advanced pawn, and this is where white's bishop on g3 being out of the game will really matter. Black probably is going to push the b pawn through and win something. So Caruana got rid of the danger and acceded to a position down in exchange. He doesn't even have a pawn for the exchange, but he is going to get one because of the knight's attack on c4. He did it this way. It would have been better to capture on c4 first, because then white, after the trades on e4, white could capture on a5 with the knight and be more solid. But this isn't really wrong. And now white has a pawn for the exchange, a nice knight on d4. It can be undermined, however. And Carlsen does the first element of strategy, which is when you're in exchange ahead, try to exchange a pair of rooks.
Right.
And white can't stop that, so here it comes. And now white is able to undermine, black is able to undermine the white knight So white's knight moves and takes a pawn, but the knight comes back. It's not supported, but it's still in the center. And this is the tabia. Okay, white has a pawn for the exchange. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with these moves. Now, the engine says here that black should have played h5 to disrupt white's position. But there's nothing wrong with f6. It's Caruana's next move or next moves that need comment. So the question is, can white hold this position by just sitting? Okay, there's nothing wrong with h5, so I'll play that on the board. It's the next move. It's actually the next move I want. So I plays bishop b6, supporting knight. That's fine. Black retreats to b7. And now, can white just sit? You've got the bishop on b6, supporting the pawn and the knight. The knight guards f3. Is there anything burning that black can do? I mean, if black's king gets to d3, is it really that much of a problem? I guess the problem for white is that black can attack d4 with two pieces, maybe. Or maybe that's Caruana here. So this needs, as you said, Dan, you could get your opinion. White's down to 20 seconds, but this needs
in 20 seconds, I'm probably just going to play knight b5 and then hope that I can fork the bishop on d6. But that's coffee house stuff. So
well, yeah, f3 hangs. But yeah, so
that's the problem.
Yeah,
the problem is that he has his position against Carlsen. This is the real
problem.
Yeah. So
I mean, there's just nothing active that looks good.
Yeah, but can you just stay passive? That's the problem. That's the question.
I don't know. Yeah, so what does he do? Like play f4 or something?
That's what he did. So this is
okay. Yeah.
So
that f3 doesn't hang.
Right. But now, objectively speaking, at least judging from the computer evaluation, and if we did a really deep analysis, probably we could see that black is forcibly winning now. So white continues hurling his inferior force against the black ramparts, giving up a pawn. But now we can all agree that this position is winning for black because of the passed pawn. And white got his pawn to a7, whoop-de-doo, black's bishop on d5 guards it. And I'll just play through the rest of the moves. So was white doomed in any event? Okay, and now white, wait a second. Wait, black played here. Why can't white play the pawn down? Oh, because black could go rook a1 check first.
Yeah,
so
and there's no king b7.
Rook a1 check, and there's no king b7. So, and white resigned. Okay, so tremendous play by Carlsen. Worth looking at to see if Caruana had to panic or not. Now, let's look at Nakamura versus Gukesh. Okay, so this has, besides having a very interesting opening, this has a definite sort of decision juncture in what we'll call a rook middle game, with pawns advancing on both sides of the board. Okay, so it's really, so the first question here is black gaining something by harassing white or just helping white pieces to good squares? The engine likes this for white, but this is the typical kind of position where I think actually the engine underestimates black.
I don't like the knight on b3 in this kind of a position. It's kind of in the way. So
yeah. But on the other hand, black judged that he had to compromise. So black judged that if he castles, which is the normal, smooth way to handle this kind of position, then white is going to gin up an attack by g4, maybe preceded by castling queenside. So, so this is so black fearing that decided to displace white's queen and then create a diversion on the other side of the board. And white's queen did not have to come back, according to the engine. White could just play, just play natural development moves. I guess, however, if you're white in this position, your instinct is you want to push G4 and push on the H file. But maybe that does not work tactically. So white withdrew the queen, and now objectively black is completely fine again. But there are going to be a lot more interesting junctures in the position. The players trade queens, and white still has some nagging advantages. Advantage in space in the center. Now a better pawn structure. So the engine is consistently showing white about half a pawn ahead. And here we go. White's knights become very active. And now I won't criticize white's play too harshly here. White is able to get a clamp on the queen side. So now white has a definite king side. White now has a definite plan to advance on the king side, winning a pawn. But even if you didn't win the pawn structure with the pawn on E5 and the hole on F6 definitely favors white. It cuts off black's king, makes an advance of the G and H pawns very dangerous. So black has to gin up counterplay on the A file, but there are tactical interludes here. So we play, white captures another pawn. So white's 2 pawns ahead. However, black does have a way to make trouble because it is hard for white to defend A2. Yeah. And let's see, are we at now the juncture already? The next one more move. Okay. So this is the relevant juncture. White can't really comfortably guard A2. So white has to get the pawns moving. Okay, so Gukesh played H4, and it gives away an advantage that white could have had by playing rook takes D8, rook takes D8 first. But this looks scary, almost suicidal, because you're allowing black's rook into the position. So it's not just going to be a knight on A2. It's the rook invading. However, this turns out to be tactically not as good in the short time that I've had to investigate this, because of what Sigbert Tarish would say. The rook is in front of the passed pawn. It should stay behind. Okay. So the reality is once black's rook leaves the D file, white takes it over. And now checkmate patterns are happening with white's pawns. And if, on the other hand, black captures this pawn with the knight, then there isn't a clear path toward advancement. White plays here, and black can't move the knight. Will lose the great pawn, and black's rook is stuck defending the knight. And now black has tied himself up and helpless. So the answer actually is that the reason why white should trade on D8, aside from the idea of black taking with the king, is that it gets black's rook out from behind the passed pawn. And if black takes with the king, now white's rook comes in like with the Song of the Valkyries. Okay, so that's why black can't do that. So in the game, Gukesh played here, but now Nakamura struck with rook takes D1, seemingly inviting white's rook in, but black's rook is on A8, and now it's really just a game of tempi. So it turns out that in this position, even though white has the extra tempo H4, white is not able to penetrate on the queen side the way it would have been otherwise. It's all
in this position, the advantage clearly goes to the better blitz player.
Yeah, and maybe that's what it is. I mean, they were down to blitz time increments. So so it's just, so why is this so much better for white without having played H4, but black also not having played knight takes A2? And it turns out that this, for some reason, just the tempi game, this holds for white and holds a 2-point advantage. So anyway, So black captures, and then knight takes a2. Black has the rook behind the pawn, and white can't guard the a pawn and come in. So Gukesh threw his forces forward, but they're just not quite in time. I mean, h7 threatens mate, but black can just guard with king g7. So anyway, so knight h7 check. White may be trying to go for a draw, but no, black. So this again is very scary looking. Isn't this checkmate on h7 coming up? But no, black's knight to the rescue. This is
Yahoo.
Yahoo is right, and so white now. So black is able to make trouble before white can. And this is where Gukesh gave up, because now white doesn't have any more attack. Black is going to be free to pick off some pawns on the queen side. So very interesting game as well. So those are two main games. Carlsen, however, though, defeated Caruana in both ends of the match, and this too. Let me see if I just go to a juncture in the game, in the middle of the game, because this is just winning. This is like Alekhine famous match clinching win against Capablanca. So how to play well with extra pass pawn on the queen side, and black is constrained here. And Caruana eventually felt he had to cede a pawn this way in order to open the position and get some counterplay. Okay, well, in fact, h6, feeling the heat of white's king side, but it was mistimed. The engine says black should have gone into a crouch with rook d8. But masterful play by white, the occasional blemish, but not much. So I can show another game from the clutch thing if you see one interesting, or I can show one interesting game from the World Senior Championship.
I'm always for the seniors.
Okay.
Agreed.
So this is Kirill Georgiev, who I would term an old prodigy. I remember when he was a young prodigy, about 5 or so years younger than I. But he wins a game that, I don't know if it's deep on strategy, is just very pleasing to view. And it's my third time showing a win by the black pieces. But here we go. Black plays knight c6, a move that ordinarily is a little bit cloying.
And is bishop d6 really a move?
Yeah, let's see. Let's go back. Is bishop d6 really a move here? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, in my mind, he was trying to get it out to b4 and just didn't make it.
Yeah,
but I'm sure that there's a logic to it there. So
yeah, I mean, bishop
it's new to me.
Or c5 or takes on c4. Those are the major moves.
Exactly. Okay. I mean, it could be a line. It's just like I say. Maybe it invites c5, but of course you're not going to play that. So,
yeah, white,
interesting.
Yeah, so white, the knight d2 move is clearly as if black had played more slowly,
right?
With c6. Anyway, so
I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, what's going on? These are all very interesting moves, and now. This at least makes sense, because in the Stonewall, I do want to try to get my bishop to d6 if white can't trade it off somehow.
Yeah, but you want the pawn on c6, so maybe that comes too.
Yeah, let's see. Well, black just plays calmly. Okay, at least the knight is gone. Black has some active things. White has not had time to play f3, evicting black's knight from the center, and that's probably one of the tactical factors in the game. So now we get this interesting pawn structure with, not sure the terms. Each has a pawn on e4, e5 that has sort of passed each other by. I don't know if there's a term for pawns that are opposite from how pawns usually face each other on a file. But this is going to be a pure dance of queens and bishops, and no bishops get traded. So white solidifies. Neither player wants to concede the squares by trading the bishop. So black plays rook d8. And I don't know why these are queried moves. These look very logical. White decides to fall back. Black falls back. Again, a logical move to me. Bishop's coming to h5. Black has a slight pull. But now we trade off all the rooks. So pure queens and bishops ending with a filled center. And so natural moves are queried by the engine. I don't know why. I didn't bother to.
I just think positions with diagonals are harder to visualize than positions with open ranks and files.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah.
And maybe it even applies to computers.
Yeah, possibly. I don't know. All I know is computers now are better than I am at visualizing them. So
right. But
visualizing.
It is clear to you that black stands better here because black's diagonals are better than white's. But can you cash in and crash through? No pawns have been exchanged yet either. So black comes forward. Usually when you come forward like this, however, you have rooks behind you. So it's a question of where is this attack going? Well, it is coming in. So now maybe, again, white should not be making weaknesses. So maybe the counterattack is not worth the weakness on c4. So now white has to fall forward again, and black now is going to come out a pawn ahead from this. Okay. Now white, again, had chances. White is, by the way, back in the game now because white can capture the pawn on c7 and capture with the g pawn. But white captured with the e pawn instead. And that just makes an impending move e3 all the more effective. And what white probably overlooked is that e3 is not just impending, it's on the board.
Yeah.
So
nice.
Point being that if white captures an f4, black's queen appears, and white's bishop on a5 is out of position to guard the pawn. So I had to plug in my laptop. So anyway, now black has a very definite attack. Oh, I have my laptop plugged in. Oh, I don't. And so now now we can see that the game is nearing its end, and it does in a couple more moves. So a nice win, and now black is 2 points ahead in the bishop ending. There was so aesthetic, and good for Kirill.
Yeah, it's very nice. I'm going to have to go study that opening.
Yeah, maybe a new idea for correspondence chess. Yeah. So, is more correspondence chess getting underway soon?
I'm in the 34th World Final now and playing 2 boards in a match, U.S. Germany. So,
okay.
Very interesting. Well, if you're not scared playing bishop d6 of c5, then of course I would play it myself. No, but I don't think that c5 is entirely dangerous for black. In fact, it could create more problems for white trying to justify this move.
Well, in correspondence chess, if there's any route to a potential advantage, white will find it. Whereas even in a classical game, those positions are going to be double-edged and with a lot of tactics. And I'm sure that that's what black was looking for here, as opposed to 31 moves of theory in a Catalan.
Yeah, but it looks like white was non-committal in that game, and the black simply slowly outplayed them and didn't do anything extraordinary except that they played very instructive, precise game, and white was quite helpless in that game. But anyway, thank you very much for today's program and showing these wonderful games.
Enjoy
And,
the World Series. Go Jays.
yeah,
Say
yes.
that in Buffalo too. So
I'm rooting for a game 7 and an exciting finale.
yes.
Okay, that might happen still. Well, in any case, have a great weekend, everybody, and see you next week, same place, same time. Bye bye, everybody.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Mhm.